The new era of Manchester United is well and truly upon us, and in their first window, Ineos look like they mean serious business. Euro 2024 hasn't even finished yet, and already it looks like two massive Dutch names will be making their way to Old Trafford this summer. The first of them being Bayern Munich's De Ligt, and then one of my favourite forwards in football at the moment, in Bologna's Joshua Zirkzee. Therefore, in today's video, I'm going to delve into the potential signing of Zirkzee and how he will change everything for Manchester United should he arrive at Old Trafford this summer. The Dutch forward could potentially create a brand new dynamic in this Manchester United attack, and I know they signed Rasmus Højlund not too long ago, literally last summer, and he's great. He's a great talent and someone that I really do like as a footballer. Someone who I think will be at Manchester United for a very long time and cause many teams many issues for years to come. However, Joshua Zirkzee offers a little bit more experience and also a little bit of a different profile. Whilst Rasmus Højlund was at Atalanta, he spent a lot of time running towards the goal and attacking balls in the box rather than having his back to goal and facilitating others around him. Now, that kind of playing with his back to goal and helping out with other players of the team before actually getting at the box himself is something that Højlund had to work on, finding that right balance between being in the box to score goals and facilitating other players doing that. However, Zirkzee has these kind of movement, has the right positioning in terms of doing this down to pretty much a T considering his age, and he's definitely someone that suits what I believe Ten Hag wants to do in the future massively. We saw the build of a deeper striker who looks to bring others into the game in Ten Hag's first season at United with Wout Weghorst, and to be honest, it worked fairly well. Marcus Rashford finished the Premier League season with 22 goals and assists in 32 starts, and that was with a striker who certainly isn't elite in the role. I mean, Wout Weghorst on loan from Championship Burnley at the time. So if we then shift back even further in the past and look at how Ten Hag used Sebastian Haller when he was at Ajax, his heat map showcases just how important a centre forward can be to build up in the Dutch manager's system. And then if you go and compare the heat map of Haller to Joshua Zirkzee's heat map from last season, Zirkzee actually has even bigger of a presence in the middle of the pitch and actually a far less presence in the opposition's penalty box, despite being Bologna's top scorer last season. On top of being the club top scorer, he also registered 49.5 touches per 90, completed 2.81 progressive passes per 90, created 1.4 chances per game, and sat in the top 11% of forwards in Europe's top 5 leagues for successful take-ons. For me, if we're looking at having a striker to come a little bit deeper, Zirkzee is one of the best talents you can be looking at in Europe's top 5 leagues. Someone who really is going to be sought after by so many clubs. I mean, we saw Bayern Munich were kind of sniffing around earlier on the window, but I believe they've decided against it, and now Manchester United are going to be the club to make that move. I wouldn't be surprised if he was to somehow stay at Bologna for another season. United didn't go for him if there was a massive race with the likes of Arsenal, maybe Man City. They've got Haaland, so maybe not. But the other clubs are kind of that ilk, who are elite clubs trying to get his signature. So Manchester United doing it now, maybe a season before he kind of really takes a massive stride in his career, could be very smart business. However, I do know that this Manchester United team isn't identical to the way that Ajax set up under Ten Hag, and it definitely has a few more weak points to it. So I want you to just kind of take that Haller and Zirkzee comparison in terms of the heat maps and positionings with a little bit of salt. Whilst looking at Zirkzee's heat map, we touched on the fact he spends a lot of his time outside of the final third, and I want to delve a little bit deeper into that. I personally believe a lot of Manchester United's issues last season stem from their huge disconnect in midfield. Casemiro had an absolute nightmare of a season, and with Bruno's best football coming in attacking areas, Mainu was tasked with being the very small string holding the Manchester United team together. So how does a Dutch striker playing for Bologna come in and change that? Well, last season Joshua Zirkzee received 5.94 progressive passes per 90 and was absolutely incredible when doing so. His ability to receive between the lines and in the pockets of space make him so incredibly hard to get a hold of, and in terms of this United side, will allow them to possibly have a box midfield with the wingers going in behind, and we know Manchester United have talent in them wing areas. Garnacho's had a brilliant last season. Marcus Rashford, although didn't perform well enough, had a lot of fans on his back and a lot of people want him to be sold. I still think with the proper striker, the proper system, Rashford has a lot to bring to this United team, especially if his primary role is just getting him beyond, getting one-on-one with the keeper and just attacking the goal. That's where you see Marcus Rashford at his best, and Zirkzee could definitely facilitate that. This could then leave potentially the box midfield of something like Kobbie Mainoo, maybe Diogo Dalot inverting into midfield areas, or having another midfielder come in and then Bruno Fernandes and Zirkzee ahead of them as that 4. That would be very, very nice to me. However, I do feel like maybe then you might require to be playing Højlund as well, just to have a little bit of something in the box. However, if we're looking to do this in deeper game states, having Rashford and maybe Garnacho off the right or a different right winger coming centrally, I think we could have a really nice dynamic there. That box midfield with 2 very aggressive front-footed wingers coming inside and kind of making up like them kind of striker positions. I think United could be really onto something if they decide to go that way. Furthering this point about Zirkzee and how I think he could offer a lot in possession, the current Bologna striker also has a lot to his game out of possession. Zirkzee sat in the top 19% of strikers in Europe's top 5 leagues for tackles, top 20% of strikers in Europe's top 5 leagues for clearances, and completed 3.35 recoveries per 90. He's definitely an aggressive, forward-thinking player who works hard to win the ball back out of possession. And also, when he's got the ball, works very, very hard to break them defensive lines. His movement, as we've already mentioned, kind of forces teams to try and defend a little bit more fluidly and makes it very, very hard for teams to go man-to-man, which I think has been a little bit of an issue for United this season. However, the only issue that I kind of see with this deal really, other than the fact, obviously he's not necessarily proven himself in the Premier League, but who can you really go and sign for a reasonable price? Who fits the kind of mold that United want? I have no idea. But the only realistic issue I have is he's not the most prolific forward, and I think United do need to find a few goals, which I guess could be where Rashford comes in. Joshua Zirkzee scored just 11 goals in the Serie A last season with Bologna. However, he did still outscore his XG of 9, and when you consider the fact he may potentially have Rasmus Højlund or Rashford or Garnacho running beyond him, depending on the system Ten Hag decides to go with, I think the fact Zirkzee isn't a prolific box striker may not actually cause too many issues. As I said before, the main kind of build about having Zirkzee is the fact he's going to facilitate other players. When Weghorst did it, I mean, they won the Carabao Cup. We saw Rashford in some of the best form of his life, really kind of show himself as one of the best wingers in Europe in that season. So I think with bringing a player of that similar mould that can do it to maybe even a higher standard, the other players around him in that attack could benefit enough. The fact that maybe if Zirkzee scores 10, 12 goals, it's not actually that bad at all. So for a fee reported to be around 40 million euros, I think United have a really good signing on their hands, and one that will allow them to not only improve their squad depth, but also bring some serious quality to the starting 11, and increase their ability to adapt their system dependent on the opposition. At times, United have been kind of questioned for the way they're setting up consistently wrong, having kind of so many different dynamics in their team, so fitting the right profiles in the right positions is definitely a really good way to go, and it's not the first one. Signings like looking at Lenny Yoro, Jared Bramthwaite, Matthijs de Ligt, things like that mean that they are looking for the right type of players, rather than having square pegs in circular holes, which is my biggest pet peeve in football. Anyways though lads, if you have enjoyed, please do leave a like and subscribe. Let me know what you think Zirkzee's going to do at Manchester United, because we know it can be a challenging place for young players to go, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.